Fact or fiction, VA loans are very hard to get approved. Once again, we are going to uncover the truth and let you decide. So I think a very good place for us to start would be the actual VA guidelines, sometimes and very commonly referred to as the VA handbook. And some of the verbiage that comes right out of the VA handbook states this: underwriters are encouraged to consider every possible appropriate factor in seeking a proper basis for approving loan applications for every qualified veteran. I really hope you caught what that just said, that underwriters are encouraged to seek every possible appropriate factor, every possible scenario. So one thing that we do in the VA world, we live in what's called the gray. Now, living in the gray, what that means is we need to tell the story. The VA is not really a list of things you can do. It's generally a list of things that they will not approve. So one of the things that we want to do is, again, tell the story. I'm going to give you a real life situation. And this came up back in March of this year. A client of mine, him and his spouse, had gone to 3 different lenders and were all turned down or denied from those lenders. And they were stating that the debt to income was too high. Now, the second I hear debt to income is too high on a VA loan, it's kind of a red flag for me, because the VA is not a debt to income loan. It's a residual income loan. So as I was speaking with this veteran client of mine and his spouse, what we found out was that his wife's credit scores, they weren't the best. And this is Texas. Texas is a community property state, which basically means what's yours is theirs, what's theirs is yours when you're married. And that includes the liabilities that are found on the credit report. However, one thing that the VA does allow is that if you're going to remove the spouse, the non-veteran spouse, from the loan, we only need to get their income, their paychecks, and see if they make enough money to offset their own personal liabilities. To make this just a little bit easier to understand, let's assume that their debt to income was 62%. That just simply means that 62% of their income is going back out the door to pay for bills. Now let's assume that collectively they made $10,000 a month. So if they make $10,000 a month and they have a debt to income ratio of 62%, that means that $3,800 is left over, and that's called residual income. So what we ended up doing is getting her paychecks, and we show through her paychecks that she can cover her own personal liabilities, and it brought down the debt to income. Or really what it did was it raised the residual income. Once we got that in line, me and my team were able to get them approved. Let me give you another example. And this happened back in May of this year. We have what's called a Geo Bachelor. And a Geo Bachelor in the VA world is an active duty service member that is going to move to one area, however, they're stationed somewhere else. So in this particular case, we had a active duty service member and their family. They were coming to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. However, he was being stationed up in Virginia. So basically, he was not going to be anywhere near the house. But the wife and the kids were going to move into the house. Again, that's called a Geo Bachelor. So sometimes we just need to get some quick documentation around that. Tell us a story, where you're going. We'll usually verify that with the PCS orders or the permanent change of station orders. So once again, we got those PCS orders, got it over to the underwriter, and the underwriter said, hey, that looks good, you're approved. The point that I'm trying to make here is that VA loans are not difficult at all. They're actually very, very flexible. However, it does take a loan officer to understand where the VA guidelines bend. And I mean bend. These things can bend like it's a yoga session. Bill White, who was the deputy director of the VA, once said, "As long as lenders document their reasoning, it is extremely unlikely that the VA staff would ever take issue with their decision." Did you catch what Bill White said there? Document the reason. Tell the story. Truthfully, I can give you story upon story upon story of how easy VA loans are. Fact or fiction, VA loans are very difficult to get approved. Leave a comment and let me know what you think, or tell me your story about getting your own VA loan. Take care.